it's essential. Conditioned Air Systems is North Georgia's solution for residential heating, air, and plumbing services. For more than 40 years, our family has been committed to delivering the highest quality service by our certified technicians and plumbers. Experience the difference today when you choose Conditioned Air Systems for your home's heating, air, and plumbing needs. Quality you can feel, service you can trust. Visit conditionedairsystems.com to schedule an appointment.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Beaufort, Houston, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/blackandblue.
It's springtime, but it's also allergy time. The pollen is so bad you can't stand it. Your eyes are scratchy, your nose is stuffy, and you can hardly breathe. Well, the pharmacists at Riverside Pharmacy can help with all of your allergy needs. They can fill your prescription with expert care and even deliver it to you in the Gainesville area. That's Riverside Pharmacy, across the street from City Park, serving Gainesville for over 60 years.
King Green's dedication to exceptional quality is our top priority. Hi, I'm Jennifer with King Green. We've added an exceptional new product, Biomax, to our program this year. It is specifically formulated to nourish your lawn and promote healthy growth with each application. With its science-backed approach, we know with healthy soil, you have a healthy lawn. Trust King Green for a lawn that exceeds expectations every time. Visit us online at kinggreen.com.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
And back at the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM, 12 minutes past 9 o'clock. Still trying to get in touch with Coach Jeremy Kemp of Cherokee Bluff. Supposed to join me, so hopefully get a chance to talk to him later on this morning here on the show. But now let's go ahead and go to Dahlonega and talk with Brendan Schabath, who is the Sports Information Director. We call it the Director of Communications for the athletic program there at UNG. Hey, Brendan.
Hey, Mike.
How you doing, sir?
Good. Good to talk to you again.
You too. How about those Nighthawks?
They've been great lately. They've been fantastic. Baseball and softball both picked up some big wins last night. Men's and women's tennis swept at Lander. That was a big ranked win for the men's team, and we're right on the brink of postseason for men's and women's golf. Track and field is over in Anderson, South Carolina, competing this weekend, so it's been busy, and they've all been really good, really impressive performances.
Let's talk about baseball for a moment, if we could. Baseball team yesterday had a big comeback against Georgia Southwestern.
Yeah, down 4-0 in the fifth inning in that game. They go into the ninth trailing 4-2. They put up 3 runs to come back in that game. That's 6 straight wins for them and 15 of their last 17. They have been just unbelievable the way they hit the ball. Their clutch hitting in certain spots in certain games this year has been really impressive. They're finding a bunch of different ways to beat teams, whether it's with the bullpen, whether it's clutch offense, whether it's just completely blowing out other teams, whether it's a combination of a little bit of everything. They're finding a bunch of different avenues to coming away with a win, and that's usually the mark of a good team, and that's what they are this year.
Well, it's really nice hearing Coach Tom Cantrell's final year at UNG. They're right at the top of the conference standings. Yeah,
absolutely. Certainly hope that we can send TC out on a high note, and hopefully it's with the Peach Belt Conference Championship and with an appearance in the regional, and then from there it's anybody's ball game. This is the toughest region in college baseball, without a doubt. I think I was talking to Coach Cantrell yesterday, and he was talking about the rankings, and there's a bunch of different places that rank baseball teams across the country, a bunch of different outlets, if you will. And, the Nighthawks are the best team in the Peach Belt right now, and they're ranked 9th in the region. So as if the tournament started today, they would probably be out of it. So it's very difficult to not only make a regional, but to win a regional here in the Southeast region. But if UNG does their job and keeps playing well like they have been, I think they've got a good shot.
So there's no automatic for baseball then, right?
I think the automatic is like it is for the other sports with the victory in the conference tournament.
Right.
But like last year, for example, I think Lander won 38 games, won the league in the regular season by 3 games, and then they didn't win the conference tournament and didn't make it to the regional. Just because there were so many other teams from Conference Carolinas and the SAC that were so good last year. Georgia College won the PBC tournament and kind of stole Lander's spot and made the regional.
I even heard a post last night on X that Carson Newman got upset there in the last at-bat.
Yeah.
You never know.
It's just the most talented, most packed region. There's so much talent at the top and even in the middle of the region that you really have to be a stellar team to make it to the regional.
Well, it's got to tell you something about UNG. When you go back to last weekend when they had that record-setting day against Augusta, tell everybody about that.
Yeah, so that was a 31-1 victory for the Nighthawks on last Saturday, a week ago, at Augusta. Most runs in a game in program history, most hits, most RBIs, tied the most home runs, most total bases. They had 7 home runs, 62 total bases, 29 RBIs,
Unreal.
32 hits. I mean, it was just like, it was one of those things where we weren't at the game, obviously, so we're sitting around, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, baseball started about 40 minutes ago. Let me check in and see what the score is. And boom, it's like 14-0 or 14-1 or whatever it is. And you're like, wow, it's going to be one of those days. We weren't quite sure if they were going to get to 30. I think the record previously was 27. And when they got to that, we weren't quite sure if they were going to get to 30. Obviously, it's a game that's not going to be 9 innings. It's going to end early with the run rule. But they did. They got there. They got to 31. And it was pretty cool. We had baseball and softball set their program run records within a week of each other. So that was awesome.
Isn't that wild? Because still, you play 7 innings to score 31 runs, and also, 3 grand slams?
Yeah. I think what was crazy about that series in general is they run ruled them in the first game as well.
Yep.
And then the third game got rained out in the 6th inning, so it was a complete game. So UNG outscored Augusta, I think it was 55-7 over the series, and only played 20 innings of baseball.
Wow.
So they were 7 innings short and outscored them 55-7.
So we would think about automatically about how we pound the baseball. How about the pitching staff right now?
The pitching staff has been really good and much improved as of late.
Sounds like
yesterday, Pierce Williams, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. He did give up those 4 runs, and that's a little bit uncharacteristic of him. But 8 strikeouts, they're really starting to get guys to swing and miss and get a lot of soft contact too. The bullpen has been really impressive. I was really pleased to see the bullpen help the team pick up a big win at Catawba last week, who was number 4 in the country at the time. And they had a bullpen day, a planned bullpen day on a midweek game.
Wow.
And they went down there and shut down Catawba, basically. That's an offense that can put up runs in bunches, and to hold it to 4 and come out with a 5-4 win is wildly impressive. And then yesterday, I can't tell you how many times I've seen it in the 14 months that I've been at North Georgia, let alone I'm sure someone like Coach Cantrell in the 30-plus years he's been in baseball. But how often do we see a situation where a team has the lead They give it up in the ninth as the other team comes back, and then they get it back at the bottom of the inning and win the game.
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought that was certainly a possibility last night that Georgia Southwestern was still going to find a way in the bottom of the ninth to get a runner on and get them home and tie the game and maybe win it, or we were going to go to extras or something. That always just seems to be an avenue. And instead, Zach Green, who's a graduate left-handed pitcher for us and an electric guy, so much energy. He's been the closer all year long, varying levels of success in situations like this late in the game, and he just completely shut it down. 2 strikeouts and a fly out from the top hitter for Georgia Southwestern to go 1-2-3 in the ninth and pull out that win. That was really, really impressive.
We're talking to Brendan Schabath, who's the Director of Athletic Communications at the University of North Georgia. Talk quickly about the softball team with the new era is really being successful.
The offense in this new era has been unbelievable. I mean, they scored 26 runs in the second game of a doubleheader on Wednesday at Tusculum.
Wow.
What I thought was kind of cool, and obviously we want North Georgia to win every single game that they can, but they lost the first game of that doubleheader 8-0 in 5 innings.
Ooh.
And then turn around and drop 26 runs in the second game. It's an NCAA program record. Coach O'Hare's got her team playing well lately. That's the 3rd time this year they've scored 23 or more runs.
Wow. 23
was the previous record. So they picked up a big win last night against Georgia College, 13-6. They were up 10-1 at one point in that game, scored 5 runs in the first inning and another 5 in the third inning. Their offense just does everything well. Like, they hit for contact, they hit for power, they're aggressive on the base paths, they're disciplined at the plate. They don't work a ton of walks, but it's really because they don't wait for walks. Like, they find their pitch and they're ready to jump on it right away in the first pitch of the at-bat. And they can ambush teams really quickly. They went back-to-back with solo home runs from Natalie Ray and Carly Knowles last night. That's the 2nd or 3rd time they've had players go back-to-back home runs already this season.
Wow.
So they're a lot of fun. They're very exciting to watch. It looks like if they can do their job, they've got a good chance to host the Peach Belt Tournament, which is always a goal and always fun. And then we'll see if they can host postseason NCAA tournament softball in Dahlonega.
And that's coming up soon too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got 2-3 weekends left in the regular season, and then Peach Belt Conference play starts, or the tournament play starts, I should say.
Next game at Haynes and Carolyn Hill Stadium is?
Today. Doubleheader today at 12-2 against Georgia College to finish out that series, and then the final home weekend of the year is next weekend against Columbus State on Friday and Saturday. So fans should get out there while they can. A couple games left at home before we get to the postseason.
Absolutely. The final thing for you, how about the golf team for Coach Worley?
They're getting ready to host the Peach Belt Tournament. They've got one event left before we get there early next week. Hugh Streckel, a senior for us, just made his debut on the Corn Ferry Tour in the Club Card Championship.
Cool.
In his hometown of Savannah. He got a sponsor's exemption in that event. So it was fun to track him this weekend and see how he played in that. It was really cool. He was impressive and represented UNG so well. But, yeah, men's golf, number 2 in the country, women's golf, number 16. When you add in men's and women's tennis and baseball and softball, North Georgia is the only team in the country with all 6 of those teams ranked in the top 25 nationally.
Wow.
So it's been a very fun, very exciting spring, and hoping to keep it going.
And busy time for you. Of course, everybody can go to the Nighthawk Sports Network and see the stuff today, right?
Yep, they can head to the pbcsportsnetwork.com, and they can find our channel, the Nighthawk Sports Network, and you'll see our game against Georgia College for softball, the rest of the baseball and softball seasons for the home games as we finish the stretch here.
All right, Brandon. Thanks much. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you much. Take care. That is Brandon Schabath, who is the Director of Athletic Communications for the University of North Georgia. We've got much more for you coming up next here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM and on YouTube at Team Glory Sports.
On-time service and experience matter for your home's heating and air system. For more than 40 years, Conditioned Air Systems has been North Georgia's solution for residential HVAC installation, maintenance, and repair. Family owned and operated, we deliver the highest quality service on any brand and model with no hidden fees, promising 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Comfort you can feel, quality you can trust. Visit conditionedairsystems.com to schedule an appointment.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Buford, Houston, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/black and blue.
It's springtime, but it's also allergy time. The pollen is so bad you can't stand it. Your eyes are scratchy, your nose is stuffy, and you can hardly breathe. Well, the pharmacists at Riverside Pharmacy can help with all your allergy needs. They can fill your prescription with expert care and even deliver it to you in the Gainesville area. That's Riverside Pharmacy, across the street from City Park, serving Gainesville for over 60 years.
And on YouTube, I apologize. I've been wiping my nose also. I don't have the allergies like a lot of people do, but a little runny eyes and runny nose this morning for me behind the scenes here on 97.5 Glory FM. We're going to go to the phones now and talk to Chuck Graham, our expert when it comes to NCAA college basketball action. We're down here to the Final Four games. Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you, Mike?
I am blessed, my friend. I'll tell you what, it is a busy weekend, isn't it?
Oh, it's a huge weekend, man. The Final Four, and you got the Masters actually starting this week, and I just heard all the things going on at North Georgia, so it's an exciting time.
All right, so did you get a chance to watch any of the women's Final Four action last night down in Tampa?
Yes, man. I was traveling. I'm actually in Florida right now, but spring break. Yeah, this is spring break for everybody, man. So we're actually in Orlando, headed down to Disney World. But
all right.
I did get a chance to see some of it, man. Actually not really. I guess the outcomes were shocking. The margins of victory were shocking. I thought the games would be much closer, but
yes.
Exciting game set up for tomorrow afternoon between South Carolina and Connecticut.
Oh, the two best teams in the country, though, right?
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, I thought UCLA would actually be able to tip the scales, but when it comes down to it, I think, the combination of been there before with UConn and South Carolina, I think was just too much to overcome for Texas and
UCLA,
Texas and UCLA, yeah.
Well, people who don't know about it, UConn, the women are like the deal with UCLA teams with John Wooden, in effect. You don't expect them to lose a lot of times.
No, especially in a setting like that. You have one of the top coaches that has ever, coached college basketball on the sideline.
Yep. And
then you have a unique set of circumstances with, Paige Becker. It seems like she's been in, college for a decade. And with her experience and guidance, man, that team is peaking at the right time. It's going to be exciting tomorrow afternoon.
Well, you look at it from the SEC standpoint. There was Georgia back in the Andy Landers days, and then Pat had Summit there at Tennessee, and now South Carolina just continues to dominate the women's scene in the SEC.
Yeah, well, and now I think with LSU and Texas,
yep.
Especially Texas being a part of the Southeastern Conference now, I think the future is bright for women's basketball in the Southeastern Conference because it's only going to get better. I mean, Oklahoma, they're going to reload, so. If people talk about the men on the basketball SEC, I think next season, and probably projecting it out about 3 or 4 years, you'll start seeing a surge in the women's game.
And I'm waiting to see about the venues for the NCAA. They're playing down in Tampa where the NHL team, the Lightning, plays there. And there'll be around 20,000 people. Now, I've got a feeling they're going to probably pack that place tomorrow.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. This is how you. I mean, for the NCAA, what a great great matchup. You got two Hall of Fame coaches. Two storied programs who won multiple national championships. You couldn't pick a better place, and I think it's great for women's sports, and more so great for women's basketball.
Got Chuck Graham on the phone with us. He's down in Orlando, Florida. I tell you what, the spring break's supposed not to begin until Monday, but he gets a little early break on it from that standpoint. I appreciate him joining us this morning here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Now, you're getting ready for the big matchup with the men's Final Four. Two big matchups. Tell everybody about those today.
Right, two huge matchups. First, we'll start off with the SEC matchup with Florida and Auburn. These teams played a little over a month ago. I got an opportunity to watch that game. High-level basketball. Actually, Florida went on the road and defeated Auburn, I think, by 9.
Yes.
And but you going back watching that game, Auburn Florida controlled the game from beginning to end. But I think if Auburn had the opportunity to make a couple shots, it would have changed momentum because Auburn was at home. But you talk about two teams that have lost a combined 9 games between them, so the margin of error is really, really small when you talk about defeating these teams. In that first matchup, Walter Clayton, which is, he's making a case for being the best player in the tournament. He had 19 points, which is not like great and not his average, but I think with the difference in the game, he had 9 assists in that game.
Wow.
And with that 9 assists, because it makes him hard to guard because he's making plays not only for himself but for others. So, and also Alex Condon had 10 rebounds in that game. So I think those two guys have to play well today for Florida to win. But the X factor for Florida is the kid who I've watched mature and grow, Elijah Martin. He's in the backcourt with Walter Clayton, but he's athletic and he can shoot the ball. So I think he's the X factor. And on Auburn's side, you're looking at Johnny Broome, who's hurt. His elbow. He was finished second for Player of the Year behind Cooper Flagg. You're talking about a 6'10" guy who's a traditional post guy. He comes out and shoots threes from time to time, but it's refreshing to see you can throw the ball into the post and the guy actually can make a move and finish, at 6'10". And then Chad Baker Mazzaro, I love this kid's energy. He plays super hard. And I think he represents what Auburn is all about when you talk about toughness and grit. And I love watching him play. But again, the X factor, I think Auburn has 2 X factors, Mike. A guy named Miles Kelly. Miles is, a double-figure scorer. I think he's second on the team in scoring for Auburn. Had a tremendous game against Florida the first time. I think he had 19. But it's a kid that's coming off the bench, true freshman, Tashad Pettiford, who probably was freshman of the year in the conference. He takes Auburn's offense to another level when he's in the game. So offensively, they get better once he checks in. But Mike, this game is going to be won on the boards, man. This is going to be a top-notch SEC, kind of like a SEC football championship game. It's going to be won, like those football games are usually won on the line of scrimmage. This one's going to be won on the boards.
Yep. Well, don't you think it's going to be so difficult for Florida to beat Auburn again? And Auburn's got to have the advantage in a Final Four game.
Well, you know what? I've been doubting Florida all year. Rightfully so. Rightfully so, being a Seminole. I've been doubting them all year. I didn't think they could go in to win the SEC conference. I didn't think they could actually win the against Auburn on the road. But I think you're right, though. I think that Auburn in this setting, having the experience of playing Florida the first time, may have a slight advantage. But like I said, it's going to be one on who can, on defensively, if I can just get the rebound, hold them to one shot, and then offensively try to crash the board and create some more possessions and opportunities.
Chuck, how big a difference is that venue? You playing San Antonio, right?
Yeah, San Antonio. You know what, Mike? I think probably in prior years when I was playing, we didn't have the opportunity to play in big venues. unless there were conference tournaments or NCAA tournaments.
Sure.
I think it's a little different now, but these guys go around and the preseason schedule makers and these sponsors and television, they go out and make sure these kids are in these venues like practically all year, you know, playing in different tournaments. So I don't think it'll be that much of a factor, but the stage is always a factor. This is the Final Four. You're the only college basketball game in the country playing at this time.
Yep.
So I do think it's something to be said about, you know, experience in that.
All right, so who they ended up playing, you think, for the championship?
This next matchup, you know, Duke is the most efficient team offensively in the country. And then Houston is the top defensive team in the country. So this is going to be one of those battles of don't lose your identity, but do what you do best. And Duke has, I mean, you talk about so many pros, but they have the best player in the country, Cooper Flagg, and they have the point guard. I think he's going to have to play special today. A guy named Tyrese Proctor, because he has to handle the pressure from Houston. I mean, Houston put on a defensive clinic against Michigan State last weekend. As they can have that same effort, Houston may move on to the championship game.
Well, don't you think this is, in a sense, you know, forgive me for this in the SEC, this is, in my mind, the championship game right here between Houston and Duke.
Well, I mean, you could make the argument for that, though. I mean, just looking at these are the top two teams in the country, offensively and defensively. I mean, you got like I would say about 10 pros at some point will play, you know, in the NBA or overseas on these teams. And you have guys who played in the Final Four before. Actually, L.J. Crowder for Houston won a national championship with Baylor, you know, a couple of years ago. So this game is set up for a classic matchup. And then you got two top coaches. I mean, Kevin Sampson at Houston is one of the most well-respected guys in basketball. And, you know, I've been studying him and then John Shire. I mean, most people don't realize this, but Shire was an awesome player. He grew up in the Chicago area, ended up, you know, 6'7", could do it all, could shoot, and was set up to have a prosperous NBA career, but he had an eye injury. He was poked in the eye and wasn't able to, I mean, it was so severe he wasn't able to continue playing.
Wow.
But you know, that same grit that he had playing and that chip on his shoulder, he takes into coaching. So, man, I'm excited for this matchup. I think the X factor in this game, the guy, and I have connections with both of them, Sion James, who's a kid that's 6'6", about 225, looks like a defensive end, but he plays guard for Duke.
Wow.
He actually played at Lanier High School, and when I was at Gainesville, we were in the same region. Yeah, man. So this kid is really excited for him, man, and his family and that community. Kid from Sugar Hill, Georgia, competing in the Final Four today.
How about that?
Yeah, and then I'm gonna date myself again, Mike. Emmanuel Sharp, who plays for Houston. You know, I played against his dad in the early '90s. His dad was a tremendous player at South Florida, big-time shooter. And it's amazing, you know, his dad, Emmanuel, who's the son, is a carbon copy of his dad, just 3 inches taller. Emmanuel's a great shooter, and I think he will be an X factor for Houston today because if he can knock down a couple of threes early, I think it will give them confidence, you know, offensively.
All right, so the games were in San Antonio. First game, a matchup of SEC schools, Auburn and Florida, then Duke and Houston, Big 12 versus the ACC. Some great basketball. Question for you, friend. It's interesting that these Final Four teams, they were not ravaged by the transfer portal. The players and everything, that they're staying with them. But the big thing is, how many of these players are going to the NBA, you think, in the draft this summer?
Wow, man, I see out of the 4 teams playing, because these guys have all put themselves in position, you know, and so I'm looking at least there will be probably about 10 first-round draft picks.
Wow.
Yeah, but between the 4 teams, there'll be about 10 first-round draft picks, and because you know the NBA draft now is you don't really, and it's not an exact science, but a lot of these guys are being based on they're being projected out. So during my era, guys like Grant Hill, Christian Leitner, Alonzo Mourning, they were proven quantities when they came into the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys, outside of Cooper Flag, some of these guys will basically be projects.
That's
but
amazing.
It's a different day and time now.
So we talk project, talking about G League or just be on the bench and learn?
Well, no, I don't think they've had enough reps actually just playing against high-level competition, and dominating high-level competition. Now, Cooper Flag has proved that he is worthy of a number one pick.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you take the guy that the Hawks drafted number one last year, Ricochet,
yep.
we still don't actually understand, what he is and what his game is.
Yep.
So in terms of him being a project, I mean, he's an NBA player, obviously. But when you think in terms of number one picks, you're thinking the Shaquille O'Neal,
yep.
the Chris Webbers, you're thinking of guys along that line who are, the face of a franchise, the Allen Iverson, then they're going to dominate for, 10, 15
great
years.
point there, friend. You talk about a face, you're down there at Disney World. Of course, the face is Mickey. You got to say hello to him before you go down and see him. And the thing is, who is the face of these young guys? Can any of them be the face of a team?
It's tough especially when you're faced with in the NBA now, because some of these teams, you take OKC, who right now is probably one of the better teams in the league.
Sure.
Even Cleveland.
Yeah,
Cleveland is playing awesome basketball. When you
sure.
talk about the face of the league, most people don't know Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Sure.
They may not know Donovan Mitchell. These guys are not household names, but they've actually developed into players. When they were drafted, most people were like, well, that's kind of a stretch. But these kids have worked, and they've made themselves players. And it also goes on the back end. A guy like Matt McClung, who I think is an NBA player, but the only time he gets, he's led G League in scoring. But, I mean, only way he gets recognition is in the dunk contest.
Yeah, but I'll date myself like you, is that to me, when you look at the face of a team, say, for example, I really don't count, even if Trae Young is the face of the team right now, I go back to somebody like Dominique Wilkins.
Yeah.
That's who you look at, you depend on, and that's your guy.
Well, I tell you this, if you really want to know, it's a test that you can do if you really want to know the face of the team, and you usually you don't have to say, like, the guy's last name.
Yes.
People know who you're talking about. Like you say,
Michael.
Dominique. People know, like Shaq.
Magic, Larry, Shaq.
Yes.
Charles.
Yeah, so that's a litmus test, I guess, of
Pete.
if you're the face of a franchise.
Yeah.
But I do think that Trae Young had that opportunity. I'm not so sure that window.
Oh, yeah.
It may have closed. I mean, I'm pulling for the guy. I mean, I'm a Hawks guy.
Sure.
But at the same time, I think, for the team to be 500 is actually, it was tough. But I see the trajectory of Cleveland.
Yep.
And the Hawks were, far better than Cleveland, I guess, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep.
And since we made that Eastern Conference Finals, it's been kind of like a slow, recession. Yeah, we've gone backwards. So,
but two good questions before you leave. First off, tell me, how can Trae Young be the assistant general manager of the Oklahoma basketball team?
This is because speaking along that lines, even in my neck of the woods down in Tallahassee, Terrence Mann, who's now with the Hawks, he played at Florida State. He's now the general manager of the team. And I think this is a ploy right now, and just indirect consequence of the transfer portal and NIL. These guys are able to donate money and kind of navigate some young men. So it's more so just a title. But if I'm coming out of a college and I'm connected directly to Trae Young, and I go to Oklahoma, he can kind of navigate me through some waters in terms of how to handle my money. And
Sure.
Trae has donated like $1 million to the Oklahoma program.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's another way for these alums to get connected back with the program. I mean, Andrew Luck, I think he's the general manager of Stanford, but he's a retired NFL player. He played at Stanford. He has a vested interest in the program.
Yep.
And I just think it's another connection. But he's actually, hiring and firing. So he's basically, I guess, a buffer between the head coach and the athletic director now.
Wow.
So things are changing in college sports, Mike.
Oh, yeah, they are, and not for the good from that standpoint. Final thing for you, friend, is that I want you to just talk for a moment about a change in coaching down your way at West Hall High. Our friend Crofton Montgomery announcing a couple of days ago that he is resigning as head coach of West Hall. That's going to be a big loss, I think, for the school.
Oh, man, a tremendous loss. I mean, I think people don't understand, and I know people won't, and he won't even say it, but I'm going to say it, the dedication, the sacrifices that he's made.
Yep.
Especially the 2 years since I've been there, and he was there in the 10 years prior to me getting there. He's been there 12 years.
Yep.
And no one, and I think he summed it up in his statement when he said, once a Spartan, always a Spartan.
Yes, sir.
Crofton has changed the entire landscape of not just the football program, but for our school, man. He will be missed, but I wish him the best, and, he'll be a brother of mine forever. So, and it's no hard feelings in Sparta. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions with your career, and I think he'll have some opportunities moving forward, but he will always be Sparta, especially in my eyes.
Well, I was talking to one of the former coaches and talking about him. He said, Mike, sometimes God's got something in store for you, and it was that time, and so I know God's got something in store for him, and he's going to be successful wherever he goes, and it's going to be a big loss there. You said 12 years there at West Hall, 5 as an assistant, Tony Lotti, and 7 as head coach of the team, and a great friend he just brought by on Tuesday. In fact, he left his truck, brought me by a helmet and a jersey with the new logo and everything I'll have here hanging in the sports center. So that's something I always have from Crofton and West Hall's football team. So, all right, man, I tell you what, do not get tanned down there, okay? And just have a good time with the family. And again, tell Mickey I said hey, and we'll see you next time, friend, okay?
I will, buddy. I appreciate you, man. Be blessed, and let's talk soon, man. It's getting ready to NBA playoffs. Let's talk.
Anytime, friend. You can call me anytime, okay, buddy?
All right. Thanks,
man.
sir.
Be safe. Be blessed, man. Appreciate you much. I love that, man. When I tell people about what I try to do here, and there, besides the pastors that are on our station, is that there are a couple of men that I can just say God's all over these people, and Chuck Graham's one of those. You just feel God all over him. And I'm so blessed to have him a part of it. I said, if anybody, when they see me, hopefully, and they hear the station, they'll know God's all over us, taking care of us and blessing us, and hopefully be an outreach from that standpoint. You see what sports can do for his kingdom from that standpoint. Coming next, we're going to try to talk with Jeremy Kemp. He's been busy this morning. We're going to try to talk with him. If not, we're going to talk with Dave Cohen and wrap things up here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM on YouTube at Teen Glory Sports.
Choosing King Green, a locally owned and operated lawn care company, offers numerous advantages and benefits. Hi, I'm Jennifer with King Green. With a focus on serving the local community, King Green provides personalized attention and tailored solutions to meet your unique needs of your lawn and landscape. Accountability and trustworthiness is what you'll get with King Green's dedicated service. Visit us online at kinggreen.com for a greener, healthier, and more beautiful lawn.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Buford, Houston, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/black and blue.
It's springtime, but it's also allergy time. The pollen is so bad you can't stand it. Your eyes are scratchy, your nose is stuffy, and you can hardly breathe. Well, the pharmacists at Riverside Pharmacy can help with all of your allergy needs. They can fill your prescription with expert care and even deliver it to you in the Gainesville area. That's Riverside Pharmacy, across the street from City Park, serving Gainesville for over 60 years.
Protecting your family and outdoor space from mosquito problems is our priority. Hi, I'm Jennifer with King Green. Our comprehensive prevention services not only enhance your outdoor enjoyment, but also safeguard your loved ones from potential health risks, adding a measurable value to your home and lifestyle. Visit us online at kinggreen.com for $25 off your first mosquito application. For a healthy, happy outdoor living space, visit kinggreen.com.
Back here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, 97.5 Glory FM, 10 minutes until 10 o'clock. You've got me now. I've struck out here. I've been trying my best to get a hold of Coach Jeremy Kemp, and it's tough coming off a doubleheader loss like it was last night for the Bears as they fell in Game 1 to Oconee County by a score of 9-8, with the Warriors walking things off in the bottom of the seventh inning. And then in Game number 2, same thing. It was 4-3, Oconee County on top of Cherokee Bluff. 4-3 the final score, but the Bears are still in first place. Magic number is 1 with 3 games left in the regular season schedule. Cherokee Bluff will be at home on Tuesday. You'll hear that game right here on 97.5 Glory FM. They can clinch their regular season championship if they can defeat West Hall coming up on Tuesday. Game time will be around 6 p.m. We'll go on the air at 5:45 and home of the Bears there at Bluff Ballpark. And then on Friday, they'll play a doubleheader at West Hall at Spartan Field to wrap things up with the regular season of region play. There'll be one more week of the regular season. They'll play non-region teams that week before we get ready for the state playoffs the last Friday and Saturday of the month on April 25th and April 26th. There'll be high school baseball with the state championship tournament starting. Now, the thing is, just like the other sports this year, brand new era for us with the power rankings. The top 8 seeds will be the region champions. So, for example, if the Bears can win Tuesday, for example, they'd be guaranteed one of the top 8 spots in the tournament, and they'd play at least the first 2 rounds of the state tournament there at the home of the Bears. Same thing for North Hall. They have a 1-game lead over Pickens with 6 games left in the regular season schedule. North Hall will take on Dawson County next week, then they'll wrap up the season with 3 games against Chestatee. And our broadcast schedule next week will be at the home of the Bears at Cherokee Bluff again, with West Hall taking on Cherokee Bluff on Tuesday. Then on Thursday, we're going to bring you the game from Cottrell Field at North Hall as Dawson County takes on North Hall. And right now, the region standings in Region 6 AAA, North Hall is in first place, 1 game ahead of Pickens. And Pickens defeated Dawson County again yesterday, completing a 3-game sweep of the Tigers. And third place right now is Greater Atlanta Christian. And watch out for this, because GAC will be in their own state tournament in high school baseball. They'll take the Class A, AA, and AAA teams on the private school side and play their own state championship. So that means that 6 AAA will not get a team there in that number 3 spot. Dawson County right now is the number 4 team in the region. A big week for the Tigers as they take on North Hall next week. So the thing is, you go with the power rankings right now. And if you're one of the top 32 teams, even if you don't finish in the top 4 in the region because of GAC, and there are other private schools in baseball that will be in the top 32, you take those out and then you move some teams up. So we'll see what happens with teams in 6 AAA. On the 8 AAA side, you have Cherokee Bluff in first place. Oconee County is in second. Jefferson is in third. And right now, a tie for 4th place with West Hall and Monroe area. Both of those teams are 5 and 7. And you look at the way the standings are right now, if the season were to end today, it'll be West Hall going into the state playoffs in the first year for Coach Zach English and his team, because they defeated Monroe area 2 out of 3 times. And next week in the Region 8 AAA schedule, it's West Hall playing Cherokee Bluff. It will be East Hall taking on Jefferson, and Oconee County will go up against Monroe area. Big rivals right there. And so the West Hall fans are hoping that Oconee County can sweep by Monroe area, and that would give the number 4 spot in the upcoming state playoffs to West Hall. But again, you got to finish in the top 32 when it comes to power rankings. And with their record right now, sub 500, it's going to be interesting to see if the Spartans can get one of those top 32 seats. Right now, I think they can. But we'll see coming up on the GHSA will meet on Saturday, 2 weeks from today, in fact, on April 19th, and they will determine the top 32 teams in the brackets. There will be 1 versus 32, 2 versus 31 that way, all the way through the tournament. And so the top 8 teams, for example, if Cherokee Bluff and North Hall can finish as number 1, they would play at home in at least the first 2 rounds of the state playoffs. Now, also teams locally who will be heading to the state playoffs right now, What a comeback for Chan Brown's Gainesville High Red Elephants. They're now at 12-12 on the season. They're on a 6-game winning streak. They have won 11 out of 12 games. They completed a 3-game sweep at Chattahoochee just the other day at Ivy Watson baseball field. They're off until next Friday because of spring break. And right now, they are tied with Johns Creek for the number 2 spot in Region 7 Quinte, and they've got a chance to play at home in the first round state playoffs. What a big thing that would be for Coach Brown and his Red Elephants. Coach Chan Brown, his first season at Gainesville High, he moved over to Parkview to be the head baseball coach at Gainesville this year. And then the other team, Flowery Branch. Right now, they're in second place in Region 8 Quad A, sitting behind the number 1 team, North Oconee, as it was the Falcons winning 1 of the 3 games against the Titans this week. They split the doubleheader yesterday there in Bogart, so it was a big day for them. Winning that 1 game helped them out to stay in second place in Region 8 Quad A. Right now, it's going to be probably out of the reach for them to be the number 1 team, but they will be in the state playoffs, it looks like right now, as the number 2 team. East Forsyth, they've got a chance also to be in the state playoffs, as Coach Kyle Counts Broncos, they split their doubleheader yesterday with Walnut Grove, so they've got a chance to be in the state playoffs also. So that'd be big to see both the Broncos and the Falcons be in the state playoffs there in Class Quad A play. And then in the GIAA Lakeview Academy, they're off for spring break next week. They won't play again until the 14th, a week from Monday, and they play a little bit later on in the GIAA when it comes to the regular season before they start their state playoffs. But right now, it looks like the Lions, Coach Deuce Rowark, are definitely in the hunt to be in the state playoffs there in the GIAA. So that's all that's going on in high school baseball. Of course, Beaufort, they're going to be in the state playoffs in Class 6A play. They're the number 1 team right now in that region after defeating Discovery yesterday, completing that 3-game sweep of the Titans of Discovery there in Gwinnett County. Coming up next, I'll wrap things up for you here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. We'll talk about the Atlanta Braves and the Gwinnett Stripers. Comes up next here on 97.5 Glory FM.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
And wrapping things up on the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.5 Glory FM. Thanks to our guest this morning on the show, talking with Brandon Schabath of the University of North Georgia and with Chuck Graham, talking about college basketball. To wrap things up this weekend, college basketball is over. Then you get ready for the pros in the NBA. The Atlanta Braves won their first game of the season last night, as I heard Joe Simpson say, woo-woo, as it was the Braves shutting out the Miami Marlins by a score of 10-0. What a great game by Spencer Swallenbach, as it was the Braves winning by a score of 10-0. Spencer pitched 8 great innings, only just 2 bloop hits in the ball game, as the Braves win by a score of 10-0. And it was great to see Al Bummer wrap things up for the Braves last night. And so the Braves win by a score of 10-0, a much-needed win for them before a sellout crowd at Truist Park last night. Get this, already their 9th year there at Truist Park. It's amazing how time flies with that one. Had some new looks there at Truist Park, but they win last night by a score of 10-0. Now, the big question, when now will their big guy who's injured right now, you look at what he's going to do. He started last night for the Gwinnett Stripers, and also you had Sean Murphy catching for the Braves last night. And you may see a couple of players move up to play for the Atlanta Braves who are really hurting when it comes to pitching and hitting right now. So we can get these guys back. Well, we'll see what happens with the Braves with this. Stripers win last night as they defeat Nashville in Game 4 of that 6-game series. They'll play Game 5 of that series this evening there at Coolray Field. Then they'll wrap things up tomorrow before they'll start their next series. They play 6-game series there in the International League for them. Hopefully get a chance to talk with Dave Lazat, who's the voice of the Stripers, a little bit later on here on 97.5 Glory FM. Again, make sure you join us next week. We've got a big weekend for you. On Tuesday, high school baseball, as it will be West Hall taking on Cherokee Wofford.
97.5 Glory FM is WGTJ Murrayville, Gainesville, and W248DL Murrayville, Gainesville.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington.